Hey, it's Mike. Let's see what happens here. Anyways, it's still old Religion Dystopia, a world full of lies. I'm still reading in the book of Mathew, chapter 13 now. And it truly is a world full of lies. I go to Richie Allen's show on Podomatic and listen to his stuff. He's doing some good stuff. And also, don't forget about Last American Vagabond. He's doing some great stuff there, Ryan, as far as what's going on in the world. And I'm sure there's a few more. Well, I know there is, but I can't think of them right now. Anyways. Yeah, Tim Truth's actually doing some stuff. Tim Truth, he is, definitely. And then Tim Pool, I guess he's doing some halfway decent stuff. So. Although, he's not going to, the head of the snake here. And, of course, we know the head of the snake is in Rome. They don't even hide it. They have an auditorium with his head of a snake. Mr. Pontifex Maximus greets his guest in the head of the snake. And behind him is supposedly Jesus popping out of the ground into the nuclear explosion, as if that's biblical or even a piece of art. In reality, if you look very close, it's an abstract sculpture of a head of Baphomet, a goat head. These are some of the things that I shared with the old channel, Old Religion Dystopia, Known versus Belief, and they took it down on the 6th of January 2021, 2,000 videos. So here I am now. You can go to Bitchute to see some of the stuff that I'm posting that's a little different than what I'm doing here. Now, I'm not just copping out and just doing this and not reporting what's going on. I just figured, you know what, the most important thing I could do in this platform, the old big, you know what we're on, is to share the root of all error, which is a lack of understanding of who God Almighty is in the first place. I know that sounds awfully arrogant, but at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. And the problem is, what I've totally realized at this point is that through indoctrination of organized religion and the priestcraft, they've confused the mind of the masses of who Jesus is and when he fulfilled all things and how he's fulfilled all things. And our great mission today is just having abiding faith in him and what he said and did. It has nothing more to do with religion. They know this. And so, because God's given you and I and everybody a personal relationship with him, you are the temple, and there is no need for any cathedrals, churches, mosques, synagogues, etc., except to enslave the masses. That's all. This error of understanding and translates into all other areas of life, whether it's pseudoscience or pharmakia or the usury banking system, which is totally unbiblical and totally against God. In the Old and New Testament, there is actually no excuse for that. And a lot of commerce as well as too is unbiblical, like things like the diamond trade and other things that I have no really great value. I mean, certainly the diamonds can be used for certain things, but to sell a piece of rock, an overpriced piece of rock with its cuts and everything else for unreasonable prices and the expense of so many people who have had to lose their limbs and everything in order for you to have a rock on you. It's crazy. Such sorcery is ridiculous. Anyways, Matthew 13, the same day went Jesus out of the house and sat by the seaside. A great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seed fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. And some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, because they had no root, and they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprang up and choked them. But others fell in good ground, and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, and some 60, and some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? And he answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of God, but to them it is not given. And isn't that interesting? He's surrounded by a whole bunch of Jews, and he makes this statement. It says that, but a whole bunch of them were, mystery of heaven was not given to them. The kingdom of heaven. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. And therefore speak I to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not, and neither do they understand. They understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Isaias, which said, By hearing ye shall hear, and not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and not perceive. For this people's heart is wax gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest any time they should see with their own eyes and hear with their own ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. They understand with their heart, not their brain, their heart. Isn't that interesting? But blessed are your eyes, for they say, your ears, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. And when anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and carrieth away that which was sown in his heart. And this is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into the stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and on with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation and persecution ariseth because of the word, and by he is offended. Isn't that interesting? Because of the word. He also is that received seed among the thorns, is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches, choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. Pope. But he that received the seed into a good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it. which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Any parable put, another parable he put, we'll try this again. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? And he said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servant said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while you gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. In the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together the first of the tares, and bind them in bundles, and burn them in lake fire, apparently. But gather the wheat into my barn. That would be what? New Jerusalem, right? Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds, but when it is grown, and the greatness among herbs, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them, The kingdom of heaven is like unto a leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables. Without a parable spake he not unto them. That it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. Then Jesus sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. And he answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. That is Jesus. And the field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. And the enemy, of course, we know that this kingdom is the kingdom of heaven, right? Not the kingdom, like the kingdom of Israel. And the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world. The reapers are the angels. And then we talk about world, age. The world, what was the world to the Jews back then? It was their world. They were not too interested or cared much about other people's world, as most other people were. Yeah, it's kind of like, most Americans think the world centers around the United States of America, which of course it doesn't, but that's the propaganda of the Roman Empire to make everyone think that, deflection, when everything is actually ruled out of Rome and Jerusalem to this day. Just like it was back then. Isn't that interesting? There's always been this unholy alliance between the synagogue of Satan and the Luciferians and the monarchies. And so that's what makes up the Vatican, because it's a political system, institution. The thin veneer of Christianity, which is really just a bogus lie. It has nothing to do with the following of Jesus at all. It's the following of men. It's Luciferianism at its core. and it's not of God. I know that offends an awful lot of people, but I'm not trying to offend people. It just is what is. And so back then, we're now talking about what? Israel and Jerusalem. This is this place, this world, this fallen world, this fallen state. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out the king of his kingdom all the things that offend, and them which do iniquities. So we know that under their world, what would burn in fire, gathered the tares, and where were they all at? They were in Jerusalem. Where over 1 million plus people allegedly died at the hands mostly of their own fellow brethren. Because by that time, everyone was so demon possessed that Jesus said 7 worse demons in them. They doomed themselves. It's a hell of a thing, isn't it? And shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and they shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Then shall the righteous shine forth as a sun in the kingdom of our Father. Who hath ear to hear, let him hear. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a treasure hid in a field, which when a man hath found, he hideth for joy thereof, goeth and selleth all that he hath, and buy that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a merchant man seeking goodly pearls, who, when he found one pearl of great price, went and sold all that he had and bought it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like unto a net that was cast into the sea and gathered every kind, which when it was full, they drew to the shore and sat down and gathered the good vessels, but cast out the bad away. So shall it be at the end of the world, of this age, the end of their world. And the angels shall come forth and serve the wicked, and sever the wicked from among the just, and shall cast them into the furnace of fire, and there shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Now, when I tell you this is about that age, that I do not believe that things, as far as eternal, don't change. I think those who reject, who find the Lord finds them. There's a place in eternal heaven, in the kingdom of God, in New Jerusalem. That's my prayer. That's my hope. That's my faith. That's my understanding of this book is. But those that reject it, and I have no idea how God fully goes about giving every person their opportunity to bow their knee before God. But those who reject it go to the lake of fire, in which there's some purging process and burning and other. It doesn't sound too good. In fact, it sounds worse than hell. Because they've given us a very simple gift. The truth is in this book, and even if they didn't have the truth for most, the time since his death, the testimonies of others and how you convicted anyways is through the Spirit of God. It's not through your great understanding of the Word per se, but you got to know God. And apparently, for quite a while, it seems like there was at least a few Christians that understood what was being said and what actually happened. But today, it seems like modern day Christendom has, well, it's known as it absolutely has bastardized everything and turned it into a great offense. And I do believe that the anchor of all the deception in our world today is based on abusing this book. So I do put an awful lot of responsibility on the priestcraft, even our day, and whether or not they have now been usurped or joined the priestcraft of scientism and usury and business, monopolies, and I don't even know what you'd call that. I guess I got to learn the name for that. This corporate fascism and everything else is so ungodly, it's ridiculous, and so wicked, and so perverse. But don't get me wrong. I mean, you say, "Oh, you're communist?" No. I'm like everyone else. Freedom of choice, freedom of will, and get the hell out of my way. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these parables, and Jesus said to them, "Have ye understood all these things?" And they said unto him, "Yea, Lord." Then said he unto them, "Therefore every scribe which is instructed unto the kingdom of heaven is like unto a man that is an householder, which bringeth forth out the treasures, things new and old." It came to pass when Jesus had finished these parables, he departed thence, and when he was come into his own country, he taught them in their synagogue, insomuch that they were astonished, and said, "Whence hath this man this wisdom and these mighty words? Is not this the carpenter's son? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brethren James and Jose and Simon and Judas?" There's that Judas again. "And he and his sisters, are not they all with us? Whence then hath this man all these things?" And they were offended at him, because Jesus said unto them, "A prophet is not without honor, save in his own country and in his own house." And it seems to be the truth. I have no ability to communicate the truth with my family, or let alone neighbors or anything else. So I think it's the reason why I and so many other people are, on the World Wide Web, calling out to our fellow brothers and sisters throughout the whole plane of existence and saying, "Hey, listen, you're not alone." And then, by the way, here it goes on. He says he did not many works there because of their unbelief. Mathew 14. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch, heard of the fame of Jesus. Let's try this again. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus, and said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist. He is risen from the dead. Therefore mighty works do show forth themselves in him." And for Herod had laid hold of John, and bound him, and put him in prison for Herodias' sake, his brother Philip's wife. For John said unto him, "It is not lawful for thee to have her." And when he would have put him to death, he feared the multitude, because they counted him as a prophet. But when Herod's birthday was kept, the daughter Herodias danced before them and pleased Herod. That doesn't sound good at all, to be honest with you. It sounds like some kind of menage a trois perversion. Whereupon he promised with an oath to give her whatsoever she would ask. And she, being there before instructed her mother, said, "Give me here John Baptist's head on a charger." And the king was sorry, nevertheless, for the oath's sake, and them that sat with him at meat, he commanded it to be given her. And he sent and beheaded John in the prison. What a woman can do to a man, or a group of men. His head was brought in a charger and given to the damsel. Well, damsel. And she brought it to her mother. What a sick trio there, huh? And his disciple came and took up the body and buried it, and went and told Jesus. And when Jesus heard it, he departed thence by ship into a desert place apart. And when the people had heard thereof, they followed him on foot out of the cities. And Jesus went forth and saw a great multitude, and was moved with compassion towards them, and he healed their sick. And when it was evening, his disciples came to him, saying, "This is a desert place. The time is now past. Send the multitude away, that they may go into the villages and buy themselves victuals." And Jesus said unto them, they need not depart. Give ye them to eat. And they say unto him, We have here but 5 loaves and 2 fishes. And he said, Bring them hither to me. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the grass. And he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, and looking up to heaven, he blessed and brake and gave the loaves to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did eat all. They did all eat, and were filled. And they took up the fragments that remained. Once again, here's another 12 baskets full. I guess because there was 12 apostles with them, right? And they that had eaten were about 5,000 men, besides women and children. Straightway Jesus constrained his disciples to get into the ship and to go before him unto the other side, while he set the multitude away. And when he had sent the multitude away, and I wonder how he went about doing that. Well, of course, he had the Spirit of God in him, so he went up into the mountain apart to pray, and when the evening was come, he was there alone. But the ship was now in the midst of the sea, and tossed with waves, for the wind was contrary. And in the 4th watch of the night, Jesus went unto them walking on the sea. Dun, dun, dun. And when the disciples saw him walking on the sea, they were troubled, saying, It is a spirit. And they cried out in fear, which means people have we're seeing spirits. They must say so. But straightway Jesus spake unto them, saying, Be of good cheer, it is I, be not afraid. And Peter answered him and said, Lord, if it be thou, bid me come unto thee on the water. And he said, Come. And when Peter was come down out of the ship, he walked on the water to go to Jesus. But when he saw the winds bolstering, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. So, for 2 men that walked on water in that Bible, just if you forgot, it wasn't just Jesus. Peter did it as well. Immediately Jesus stretched forth his hand and caught him, and said unto him, O thou of little faith, wherefore didst thou doubt? And when they were come into the ship, the wind ceased. Then they that were in the ship came and worshipped him, saying, of a truth thou art the Son of God. And when they were gone over, they came into the land of the Gennesaret. I can't say that word now. Gennesaret. Anyways, when a man of that place had knowledge of him, when men of that place had knowledge of him, they sent out into all the country round about, and brought unto him all that were diseased, and besought him that he might only touch the hem of his garment. So let's try this again. And besought him that they might only touch the hem of his garment. As many as touched were made perfectly whole. Take a little break. Okay, it's Matthew 15 now. Then came to Jesus scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, Why do thy disciples transgress the traditions of the elders? For they wash not their hands when they eat bread. And he answered and said unto them, Why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition? For God commanded, saying, Honor thy father and thy mother, and he that curseth his father and mother, let him die the death. But ye say, whosoever shall say to his father or mother, it is a gift, by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me, and honor not his father and mother, he shall be free. Thus have ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition. And doesn't it seem that is when it comes to like what we're going on with our elderly today? And we see it's definitely with this eugenics program going on. Ye hypocrites! Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draw nigh unto me with their mouth, and honor me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. But in vain do they worship me, teaching the doctrines, the commandments of men. And he called the multitude and said unto them, hear and understand. Not that which goeth out of the mouth not that which goeth into the mouth defileth a man, but that which cometh out of the mouth, this defileth a man. Then came his disciples and said unto him, knowest thou that the Pharisees were offended after they heard these sayings? And he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father hath not planted shall be rooted up. Let them alone. They be blind leaders of the blind. And if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Then answered Peter and said unto him, declare unto us this parable. And Jesus said, are ye also without understanding? Do not ye yet understand that whatsoever entereth in the mouth goeth into the belly, and is cast out into the draught? But those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile a man. And man, do you see that happen with yourself and all the world around today? For of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murder, and adultery, fornications, theft, false witnesses, and blasphemies. And these are the things which defile a man. But to eat with unwashen hands defileth not a man. Then Jesus went thence and departed into the coast of Tyre and Sidon. And it's interesting with what he's saying there, and what they're trying to push on you and say, you got to wash your hands constantly and wear the mask, and you got to take the shot because you're a vile creature. You're creating God's image, and you never were a vile creature. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast, and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of David. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered her not a word. And his disciples came and besought him, saying, send her away, for she crieth after us. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. It's going back to, what did Jesus say? You would not cover all the cities of Israel when the sun come, right? Then came she and worshipped him, saying, Lord, help me. But he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's bread and to cast it to the dogs. And she said, truth, Lord, yet the dogs eat the crumbs which fall from the master's table. Then Jesus answered and said unto her, O woman, great is thy faith. Be it unto thee even as thou wilt. And her daughter was made whole from that very hour. And Jesus departed from thence, and came nigh unto the Sea of Galilee, and went up into a mountain, and sat down there. And a great multitude came unto him, having with them those that were lame, blind, dumb, maimed, and many others, and cast them down at Jesus' feet, and healed them, insomuch that the multitude wondered, when they saw the dumb to speak, and the maimed to be whole, and the lame to walk, and the blind to see, and they glorified the God of Israel. And Jesus called his disciples unto him and said, I have compassion on the multitude, because they continue with me now 3 days, and have nothing to eat. There's that 3 days, symbolic to 3 days. And I will not send them away fasting, lest they faint in the way. And his disciples say unto him, Whence should we have so much bread in the wilderness, as to fill such a great multitude? And Jesus said unto them, How many loaves have we? And they said, 7, and a few little fishes. And he commanded the multitude to sit down on the ground, and he took the 7 loaves and fishes, and gave thanks, and brake them, and gave to his disciples, and the disciples to the multitude. And they did all eat, and were all filled, and were filled. And they took up of the broken meat and that was left 7 baskets full. And they that did eat were 4,000 men, besides women and children. And he sent away the multitude, and took a ship, and came into the coast of Magdala. Chapter 16 of Mathew. The Pharisees also with the Sadducees came, and tempting desired him that he would show them a sign from heaven. And he answered and said unto them, When it is evening, ye say, It will be fair weather, for the sky is red. And in the morning it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red, and lowering. O ye hypocrites, ye can discern the face of the sky, but ye cannot discern the signs of the times. A wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign, and there shall no sign be given unto it, but the sign of the prophet Jonas. And he left them and departed. And when his disciples were come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread. And then Jesus said unto them, Take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have taken no bread. And when Jesus perceived, he said unto them, O ye of little faith, why reason ye among yourselves, because ye have brought no bread? Do ye not understand, neither remember the 5 loaves and the 5,000, and how many baskets ye took up, neither the 7 loaves of the 4,000, and how many baskets ye took up? How is it that ye do not understand that I speak not to you concerning bread, that ye should beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and Sadducees? Then understood they, how that he had bade them not beware of the leavened bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees and Sadducees. And Jesus came into the coast of Caesarea Philippi, and he asked the disciples, saying, Who do men say that the Son of Man am? And they said, Some say, Thou art John the Baptist. This is what he says. These are interesting. Say that I, the Son of Man, am. Elias, and others say Jeremiah, and others say of the prophets. And he saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Simon Peter answered and said, Thou art the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered and said unto him, Blessed art thou, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood hath not revealed it unto thee, but my Father which is in heaven. And I say also unto thee, that thou art Peter, and upon this rock, the truth of who Jesus is, Son of God, will I build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. And I will give unto thee the key of the kingdom of heaven, and whatsoever thou shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. Now he's talking about Peter, right? He's not talking about anybody else. And as far as the key of heaven, and what you, Peter, thou, Peter, shalt bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatsoever thou, Peter, shalt loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then charged he the disciples that they should tell no man that he was Jesus the Christ. And from that time forth began Jesus to show unto his disciples how that he must go unto Jerusalem and suffer many things of the elders and the chief priests and scribes, and be killed and be raised again on the third day. Then Peter took him and began to rebuke him, saying, Be it far from thee, Lord, this shall not be unto you. And he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, If any man will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever shall save his life shall lose it, and whosoever shall lose his life for my sake shall find it. Now remember, he's talking to his disciples then. And here's, okay, it gets even more bizarre here. For what is a man profited, if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? And what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Of course, this still applies today, this truth. For the Son of Man shall come in his glory of his Father, with whose angels, and then he shall reward every man according to his works. He's talking to his disciples, remember. Verily I say unto you, my disciples, there be some standing here which shall not taste death till they see the Son of Man coming in his kingdom. Tying in with chapter 10, as far as them not covering all Israel by the time he come back. Why do I emphasize this, and why do so many others emphasize it? Because it's so important, folks, to understand that the second coming already happened, that Jesus fulfilled all things, that he made it so easy for us, quote unquote, the Gentiles and the people ever since then, is having abiding faith in him and nothing more, as it offers you eternal salvation. Playing church doesn't give you anything as far as eternally, and playing Christendom and playing all this other things, religion, it is none of it is in accordance with his teachings. It's Jesus plus nothing. I'm not saying you can't get together and remember Jesus. I'm not saying you can't go to church if you want to. You do whatever you want. I don't know how you could live with yourself, have conscience, knowing that Jesus spoke one thing and what you see at church and everything else is something different. But I know people need to have social life and all that kind of stuff. But I'm also saying that it comes down to, how much do you love Jesus? How much do you love God? How much do you love the world? Because you can't serve both. I'm not saying you can't have friends and you can't have your neighbors and all sorts of stuff. I'm not saying that at all. But the world cannot take first over, take over God being priority in this life and eternity. And anyways, what would you rather have? Your obedience, your servitude to God Almighty, or to a bunch of banksters and thugs and the mafiosos and just crooks? Because that's what you're doing right now. By putting your abiding faith and so much into the wickedness of the rulers of evil of this world, we're placing them first before the truth, the way, and the life. It's just the way it is, folks. It is just the way it is. It has nothing to do with religion. It's all about having a personal relationship with the Creator God. Yeshua the Messiah, Lord God Almighty, came in the flesh, paid for the sins of mankind, rose from the dead, came back for his bride and fulfilled all things. Well, that's a wonderful thing.